Hello, my name is Voya and welcome to my deep guide and to another Supernote video today. So we're revisiting, which is probably my favorite device currently and my regular device that I'm using on a day-to-day basis, Supernote A5X. And there are interesting discussions that pop up from time to time in YouTube comments, in Facebook groups, etc. One of the things in one of the discussions that I found actually particularly interesting was a mention of certain things were mentioned which kind of triggered that people don't truly understand how the linking, the titles and everything, what that actually means, what it is that you get on the Supernote with those functionalities. So I wanted to make this video to kind of detail out exactly how I use the Supernote A5X, the notebooks functionality, the linking, the titles and everything. What are the capabilities, what are the shortcomings, of which there are several still, and basically what my workflow is and why this one is my go-to device and my daily driver. But before we do, please do check out mydeepguide.com/shop to check out the My Daily Organizer and My Meeting Planner, which are both hyperlinked PDF files. Daily Organizer helps you organize your monthly, yearly, quarterly, weekly, daily needs, and your My Meeting Planner is a document that helps you centralize, simplify, and organize your meeting needs. If any or either of these or both sound interesting, you can check out the links below for their dedicated playlists to actually see if these are products for you or not. Or if you just want to support the channel and the independence of My Deep Guide, purchasing of those products also helps tremendously. And now let's check this stuff out and let you see what I mean. Alright, so in this video I'm going to show a couple of things. First is one of my older practical examples, how I use this, how I used to use it. I'm going to show you in a quick way how I am actually using these things, the functionalities, the titles, the links and everything else. So, and why that is such a big deal and why that is a game changer. I became aware that it's possible that some people don't really realize the full potential and just the power of the links and all of this, how it is in a Supernote. So here's a very practical example, and if I go into some of my older notes, so here's how I use these things. You can see like Mars Awakening is the video game that I'm working on, and these are some older notes that I've added to the quick access. And for example, I had the first Steam test deployment, some of the requirements here, and then I would just kind of write down here, yeah, what are the requirements, and then a couple of links here to the separate parts of the same notebook, right? Because it has a couple pages. So for example, this would lead me to the select tile and load from the map section. And then I would describe what I need to describe. And at the bottom, I would have a link to developments notes link and deployment build requirements. The deployment build requirements will bring me back to this part. So that I can go then to here, then go back and go. Basically, I can just jump between these links without any problems. And the lovely thing about this is that when I export this as a PDF file, these links will work in the same exact way on my PC, on my smart device. It doesn't really matter because these are hyperlinks within the notebook. And that's a really, really cool thing. Now, the second thing that I have is for each of these sections, I have the development notes link, and that actually brings me to a specific page in a different notebook, right? So now I've jumped to another notebook, to a specific page that's talking pretty much about this section that I am concerned about. If I want to return back to the original one, I have two options. I can either tap this button here, or I can swipe down and choose the one from the quick links. But for me, this is of course faster. So that means that while I'm creating my workflow here and deciding what are the tasks that need to be done, how they should be done, for my thought process, it's the compartmentalization that's important, which is first I have to have a big picture, a summary of what I need to do, and I do not want to pollute it by adding small details and problem solving and things like that. So for example, I can go here and then play the game, and there's like a lot more requirements here, but at the end I am again putting these two, and when I actually tap on this one here, it will take me to another page of that same master design document for that section that I was actually working on, for that milestone. And then I have all of the micromanaging things and systems put in place here. The additional thing that I'm using while on Supernote is, of course, I'm extensively using the titles here. So the titles are, I think, really important for me because they allow me to build a table of contents, which is extremely useful when you're having like a bigger document like this. And this is like a smaller one. My current document that I'm not going to show because it's current here, and there's stuff that I do not want to show in it. That one is like 247 pages, for example, and it's like full of titles and things like that. But here's the thing that's actually important. While the links will export into a PDF and they will function, so let's now let's export this one, for example. So this one has links and this one has titles as well, right? So if I go here and I choose to export, we're gonna export it, the whole thing as a PDF, and we're just gonna go original because I'm gonna save space. So once that's done, I'm going to jump to it. I'm going to show you what the problem is. So if I get to the document, and let's go this one, right? That's what we've just gotten. So here are my links, and if I tap on a link, it'll work. So it will still work, and I will still be able to go back and do these things. So within the notebook, it works. The external links will not work. That's expected. That's not the problem. The problem is that currently Rata doesn't export the titles as your bookmarks that are used for table of content creation. And that, I think, is a massive oversight because you already have that. So it's only a matter of exporting it not as bookmarks, but PDF. Adobe Acrobat calls it bookmarks, so it's something that you can use as a table of contents. So I think that's like a shame because you've already built your table of contents and it's like not being exported. That's kind of weird. And another thing that I think would be really, really cool is if you had an option to choose by choosing different types of colors or different types of title styles, that you choose which one is going to be the main one and which one is going to be the subheading of the table of contents, because then you would be able to have both the titles table of contents in your PDF that you can use on your PC or your smart device, along with these links that are within the notebook itself. So there is a way around this. So once I figured that out, that was actually a thing, then I started to implement a slightly different structure. And the way that I use it, just to kind of overcome that until this is maybe done properly. So the way I do this is, let's just start a new regular notebook. And let's just delete this and say links example, and there we go. That's okay. So standard one. Okay, there we go. We have our notebook, and the very first thing that I would do when I start with my notebook is actually start writing down the chapters. Right? The chapters that I want and the chapters that I need. So for example, let's say one would be feature requirements. Okay. Then it would be, I don't know, feature one design. Then it's going to be 3 feature one implementation, breakdown. And then I would have, I don't know, feature 2, design, yada yada yada, until I get to, I don't know, maybe the end is milestone plan. That doesn't make too much sense, but the point of this is, next thing that I would do, so I would go to the next page, and then I would go features requirement, or feature, is it features or feature? Feature requirement. I can't make up my mind. It's like, dude, make up your mind. Cursive or block letters, like, what are you doing? Anyway, you can see what what it actually writes. So I'm going to select this, and I'm going to turn it into a title. Okay. I'm going to go feature 1, design. Same thing, select, turn it into a title. There we go. Then we have, what was it, feature implementation breakdown. I apologize how I write, but the angle is so weird and really uncomfortable for actually recording that I can barely see what am I doing here. So that's why this is so strange, etc, etc. So then I would go back to my first page, and I would then go with selecting this one, insert a link to another page in the current file, and that's going to be this chapter, right? And some of you already see where I'm going with this. Then I'm going to select the other one, link to here, okay, link to here. Could have made a nicer selection there. Again, that angle under which I'm looking at this is weird. I should do something about that. All right, so that's that. Okay, and then you fill the whole thing up. So now I have my titles that I can go through here, which is the convenience of use that I really like while I'm in the Supernote territory. But I also am building up my own table of contents as the first page of my notebook. And since these are links within the same document, when I export this as a new PDF file, so let's do export, PDF, select all, export, okay, original, this should go fairly fast. And there we go. So now when I get to it, that will be the links example. Even as an exported PDF, I can go here, feature requirements, feature implementation breakdown. So it takes a minimum amount of planning. It does, you have to plan. But what you get with it is that you basically circumvent the current limitation that we do have on the Supernote as far as that goes. Now, the reason why I approach this way is that it's really easy and it's flexible, because at this point, now when I have these main chapters, I can just start filling this in. And once I've filled it in, like with everything, I can just simply go like, okay, so I need to insert another page. So I insert another page, and it's not breaking any of the links or anything like that, because the linking information is updated and retained. So my document can actually grow organically as the development process goes further, and that is true of the first page as well, because if your chapters go well past the first page, well, you just insert another page and you add more links and you link to those pages as well. So that is the approach that I am using on this one. And why am I using it like this? Why is this important for me? Well, because this is my work and thought process. I write everything down. So all of the system designs, I write even the code and the calculations and all of the type of stuff. I mean, I can just show you just some of the stuff very quickly, not a lot, but this is just like one small milestone that was there, and it was just going through all of these things, problem solving, thinking. So okay, that was the idea, nope, that kind of sucked, so then okay, write down the formulas, figure out the calculations that I need for the implementation, also tracking the implementation of every stage of the development of each of these elements. And it's quite complex stuff that I'm working on at some point as well. So I do need like an easy way to actually go back through all of these things and to kind of have a way to reference back to these things. So the really cool thing is that I can easily figure things out outside of the Supernote, because I can export this, as you've seen, as an PDF file. And then once that's exported, I just open it up on a computer. And furthermore, when I'm doing like the, for example, like this one here, when I'm doing tasks planning, like this, that helps me to actually export this PDF file and have it side by side on my PC with my task planning platform. I use Unfuddle, for example. And then when I'm scheduling tasks and assigning all these things, I just go through this PDF and click on the links and get to where I need to figure out, okay, that's that, okay, brrr, put in a task, okay, brrr, and that's it. So this is why, for my use case scenario, the combination of titles and linking, how it actually works so well. Now that they've added the ability to actually have the PDF file with hyperlinks as a notebook template, that opens up the door to even more of the planning stuff for my use case scenario, because I can maybe then devise a specific task tracking sheet that I can use with hyperlinks that I can link to my development notebook, and everything then kind of becomes a whole system. So already now, this is the reason why the Supernote is my platform of choice, because that is my workflow. Those are my requirements. I write constantly. Like, that is most of the time I do my work on the Supernote, because I write even the blocks of code here to kind of figure them out. And only when I'm done the logic and all of that kind of stuff, then I move on to the computer and just do the work. You know, do the manual labor part. The actual design, implementation, system designs, and code problem solving, all of that is actually done on this device by handwriting things. I realize, of course, that other people's use case scenarios are going to be different, but I'm just describing you what my personal work use case scenario is and why Supernote makes such a big difference to me, because Remarkable obviously can't do any of those things. Books has some links, but the way they work is really not that good, and it doesn't suit me. They are getting to be closer, they're getting to be better, but at this point they've changed everything else, so a lot of the other things really don't suit me with books, and I've ended up being here on the Supernote mainly because the combination of titles, hyperlinked PDF files as templates, and the links. So that is a powerhouse for me, and if they would fix those fix one thing, which is exporting of titles to be as a table of contents in the exported PDF. That I think should be fixed. That's a no-brainer. But if they would ever be able to create that whole thing that I've talked about so many times now, which is if I have multiple connections between different PDF files, if they were able to actually just export the whole thing as a project, as a zip file, where it exports multiple notebooks as PDFs and organizes them in a way so that the exported hyperlinks from the master document can still hook up and lead to different documents, well, that would be absolutely phenomenal, but that's a much more difficult task. So I'm happy with this, even as it is now. I'm really happy because it's a complete game changer, and it just fits my workflow pretty much perfectly. All right, so I hope that this video kind of helps portray why this device is so important for my use case scenario. I absolutely understand that this is just one example, and there's like many different examples, but there's also many different examples where this type of, or a variation of this type of a workflow is perfectly applicable in private and professional settings. And this is something that you really can't do with Remarkable 2. So this is not a video to say like, oh, Supernote is so much better than the Remarkable 2, blah. No, I don't care about that, honestly. What I do care about is the awareness, so that people who are, you know, really in love with their Remarkable 2, for example, but are kind of frustrated or have shortcomings, maybe they don't even realize what there is outside of that ecosystem. What are the possibilities that are outside of that? So that's something that's kind of important, because it is important, especially for die-hard Remarkable 2 users, to demand and to request the functionalities that they want to see from Remarkable on their Remarkable. Because don't get me wrong, I think that all of the devices should have these functionalities and more, because then it would be an even better state of things. So in my mind, it would be the best thing ever if Lenovo Smart Paper had links and titles and project exporting and all of that kind of stuff, if Remarkable 2 had it, if MatePad Paper had it, if Kindle Scribe had it, if Books had it, if all of these important contestants actually had these things, then we would have a more equalized kind of playing field and essentially much more usable devices, because these are not distractions, these are pure functionalities. And yeah, whether or not you want a digital paper or a digital notebook replacement device, having an option doesn't make it bad. If it's well designed and it's out of the way, like it is on the Supernote, it's really not intrusive, but it's there should you want to choose and use it. So I really hope that we see this kind of functionality and just powerful functionalities on other platforms as well in the future, because that would benefit everyone. I hope you liked the video and that you found it interesting, informative, or useful in some way. Please do let me know down in the comments below what your thoughts are about this whole thing, about this workflow, about the last thing that I was saying about me thinking that maybe all of the devices should have simplified functionalities like these, that we have like standards, like mobile phones have standards, like tablets have standards, like computers have standards. I think it's about time that the e-ink devices also have standardized functionalities. And yeah, what are your thoughts about these kinds of things? And now, no, I'm not talking about playing videos, browsing and things like that, because as you can see, I don't really use these devices for that at all, simply because other things serve me better for that. But where these devices excel is note-taking and reading capabilities, and that's where I think we would need, or everybody would benefit from, a standardization of an MVP, minimum viable product specifications. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching, stay safe, stay healthy, and see you in the next video. Bye!